Hey everybody, John Skiba here from the Consumer Warrior YouTube channel. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about settling debts. If you're negotiating something with a creditor, you're kind of putting all this together. I'm going to talk about 3 terms that you need to have in your settlement agreement to make it rock solid, airtight, help you get the debt settled and be able to move on. And if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, please go ahead, click subscribe, check on that little bell. That way you will be notified each and every day. 6 days a week we're doing videos now. It'll provide you with information on how to deal with serious debt problems. All right, let's talk about debt settlement. A lot of these that I'm going to talk about here are applicable to people who have actually been sued by their creditors and they're negotiating some type of settlement where they're trying to resolve it for less than the amount that they're seeking. But it also applies to if you're just calling up a debt collector or somebody who's bugging you for a bill, you're trying to get it settled, and particularly if you're trying to negotiate a payment plan. Now, a lot of times when creditors reach out, they want you to do some type of lump sum. It's usually not realistic. I always, it never ceases to amaze me where we have I even see this with debt collection attorneys. They reach out to me, there's this $20,000 credit card that a balance is owed on, and they say, well, we'll settle this thing and we'll do it for $15,000 and we want it payable within 30 days. And I always think, do they really think that people are just like intentionally not paying these debts? That they have, 20 grand sitting there in the bank account and they're just, biding their time to pay off this debt? Of course not. People don't pay their debts almost across the board. I've been doing this 20 years because something is happening in life. There's been medical issues, there's been a job loss, there's been divorce, there's been all these types of things, and people don't have the funds. I see people pay their credit cards before they even eat. I literally see this all the time. People are trying to do the best they can. They get into a situation where they can't make the payments, and the interest rates, the monthly payments just become so onerous, they really can't afford to live basic expenses, utilities, groceries, and they end up defaulting on it. So the thing here is that you're usually going to have to negotiate some type of payment plan, particularly if you're dealing with a large balance. And I'm going to give you 3 different tips. What you need to do as you're negotiating this when you come to an agreement. Once you actually come to saying, okay, I can afford $10,000 and I'm going to pay it at $200 a month, I'm going to pay it, and then once it's paid, it'll be paid in full. Whatever agreement you come to, whatever thing that you come to as far as you feel good about it, you can do it, you want to make sure you're not negotiating something that's just going to fail automatically. You want to put something in place that is realistic based upon your financial situation. The first thing you need to do is get it in writing. Now, if you've been sued by a creditor, the other attorney will usually put together some type of formal settlement agreement because they're going to have to do something to dispose of the case. However, if it's something, even if it's just, you're calling up a debt collection firm or a debt collector who's bugging you on the phone and you come to some agreement, you need to get something in writing that the lower amount, and particularly if it's a payment plan, is that they're agreeing to this. I've seen it too many times where people agree to pay something, they make the payment over the phone, and then there's a shift change at the collection firm and the next person says, I don't know what you're talking about. That was just a payment towards it. So you need to make sure you have something in writing, and it doesn't have to be something formal and something all legalese. An email will be fine. A letter will be fine. Just tell them I will make the payment as soon as I get some kind of information and acknowledgement from you in writing that what the terms are that we're agreeing to here. So the first thing you need to do is have it in writing. Do not pay money until you get it in writing, because then if they breach, you have some kind of writing there. You could, even an email or a letter is something that you could use to go against them for a breach of contract. So make sure that you get it in writing. The second thing that you need to do and make sure, particularly if you're in a payment plan, is you need to discuss if they're going to continue to charge interest. Now, this is something I have seen, this is heartbreaking. I have seen this happen so many times over the 20 years that I've been doing this in the state of Arizona and helping people with debt problems. Is they go out, they negotiate some type of long-term payment plan on their own, and they're making these payments. They eventually say, what's going on here? I've been paying this payment for years and it seems like we're just still going. They go get the balance and they owe more than they did when they started. And they feel like, how could this possibly be? I agreed that I would pay $100 a month and then I'm paying this off, and they think in their mind that they're making some progress on it. Reality, they're not even covering the interest charges because the company is still charging the default rate of interest of 29%. And so you think you're making progress on it, and really you're just digging the hole deeper. You're actually owing more than you did when you started. You need to make sure there's no interest. That's got to be part of the settlement. That there's 0% interest interest, and it needs to be in writing. It needs to be in that number one thing, there's going to be a writing. Number two, in that writing is going to be that there's 0% interest that they're going to be charging you, because if you don't, that's something where it could come back to bite you. All right, the third thing that you want to put in that settlement term is what happens if you default. What happens if you agree to pay $100 a month, you're going along and something happens. Let's say you live in the state of Arizona, July here, it's been miserable, and your air conditioner breaks. Air conditioning units, I don't know what they're like everywhere else, but it's like buying a car here. They're like $15,000 to $20,000 to put an air conditioning unit on your home. Let's say that happens and you have to put a new air conditioner. Let's say you have a car issue where you've got to get your car repaired, and all of a sudden you can't make a payment, or even you're just late on a payment. I always ask for there to be a grace period built into the payment arrangement, usually anywhere from 14 to 21 days. So if it's something where you're saying, okay, I'm going to make my payment on the 1st, if it's not received by the 10th or by the 14th, then you're considered in default, and then they can, pursue their other collection remedies. I always like to include something in there that gives me a little bit more time. If the 1st falls on a Saturday or a Sunday, it always makes it a little bit more awkward to get it done. So I'd recommend that you make sure that you put some type of default term in there that gives you that grace period. And if you really want to press the issue a bit, one thing you can ask for is that you will have a term in there that you will not be considered in default until they notify you in writing and give you an opportunity to make things right and to cure the default, to bring it out of default and make the payment. Hopefully those 3 things will help you out. Again, get the whole deal in writing, super important. Number 2 is negotiate a 0% interest rate and make sure that both parties on the same page, that there is not going to be any interest that's going to be charged on there. And then the third thing is make sure that the default terms, in the event that you don't make a payment, that there's some type of grace period built in. And I always push for that they have to notify you in writing that you're considered in default before they can do anything else like wage garnishment or whatever it is. That is my recommendations. If you're negotiating a settlement, it's not an easy path to go. I know it's not, but stick to your guns on that, particularly that person. Don't give them any money until you get that in writing. If you need help with this, I'm in the state of Arizona. My number's below. I do free consultations for people in the state of Arizona. I'm not licensed anywhere else, so that's who I have to focus on. If you're not from Arizona, just come back for more videos, more tips, and if you need legal help, you can find an attorney in your specific state. Thanks for watching today.